you a question too.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show on D.A.M.O.N Looks. I've got a very enthusiastic guest on right now. Everyone, Kell Ramos, say hi.
Hi. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good, sweetheart. How are you? So I'm showing everyone your photo. This is Kell, everybody. Kell's really cool guy. I met Kell years ago when my book was first published, actually, and I started radio, remember? And you did my theme song.
Wow.
Yep, and I still use it, and I love that theme song. So everyone who knows me knows I'm the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smart ass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 29 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 29 years later, I could honestly say I'm a smart ass. This was the first book I wrote. And, Kell, I revised my book, and now it's got over 200 pages in it.
Wow.
Yes, I just revised it. So we're here to talk about everything you're doing, and we're here to talk about addiction and recovery because you've done a lot of work with that as well.
Sure.
So why don't you start? If you have any questions for me first, go ahead, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. What is D.A.M.O.N Looks? I always see that on Facebook. I don't know exactly what that is.
Okay, so D.A.M.O.N Looks is another really cool network. It's an umbrella under Beverly Nation, O&E, I should say. It's under O&E. There's Beverly Nation, there's D.A.M.O.N, and then D.A.M.O.N Looks. Determined and motivated online now. Isn't that cool?
Okay. Yeah, I would have never guessed that either.
So that's cool. So yes, I was actually the first host about a year ago to start doing the D.A.M.O.N Looks YouTube. And now we have a lot of hosts from O&E that are going to be doing them, and they've already started a few. So yep, it's really cool.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yep. So
you're doing it. You're doing it big.
I'm doing it big, baby. Listen, I can pat myself on the back at you, right? I'm on 5 networks. I'm now enshrined in December of last year, 2019, Internet International Hall of Fame, everybody, for radio show hosts. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. So let's talk about you because we haven't talked in a while. I absolutely love you. I think about you often. And, you know, my theme song, every time I hear it, gosh, I think about you. So I want to do another one with you. We'll talk about that as well.
Okay.
But let's talk about what's going on with you now with your filmmaking and your all this great stuff. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, I mean, since right around that time when I wrote your theme song, I had some other stuff that I was dealing with, so I haven't really done anything like that since around that time. I don't remember how long ago it was, but
about 4 years ago.
yeah, about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I haven't really done any filmmaking or anything. And since I always write. I mean, you know, everything we do is about the writing. You know, you have to write it first, see it, and then I might have did a couple of commercials a long time ago, but I really started working. Like I run these recovery houses, and you know, I have 3 houses, and that takes up a lot of time. And I have a part-time job where I work for a HIV prevention nonprofit part-time.
Okay.
So I've been really working a lot, but you know, the creative bug is really what I guess you could say God gave me. You know, that's what I like to do. That's my thing. And I mean, I was successful with it for a lot of years before I met you. I don't know, you know, I used to do a lot of videos for people all around Jersey and Trenton and political ads and, you know, commercials for like Mrs. G and places like that. And a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I mean, so many videos. That's all I did. That was my full-time job, was just making videos for businesses and, you know, ads and stuff. And it was pretty successful. And I did some stuff with the gangs out here in Trenton. And, you know, that was really big. I mean, we made it to, we had a show on Gangland, that series on History Channel.
Oh, wow.
A few of them, actually. Like, they had like 6 of them. Bio Channel, it was syndicated on Spike TV and stuff like that. It was all right. It was pretty good. The money was good too, so that kind of like put me, you know, that like sustained me. And I did this show about Trenton called The Urban Evolution. I think I did 4 episodes of that. It was my show. I produced it and everything, and
That's cool.
got a lot of sponsors and stuff. It was really good. I mean, I had a good run, but maybe about 9-10 years into it, the industry, I guess, changed again. The technology changed, and every 3-4 years, you kind of have to re-up on the newer equipment. So that the end of it, it was a financial decision to like stop doing it because it just wasn't making as much money as it used to, and I don't know. I just kind of stopped and tried to work on working jobs and stuff like that, which is cool now, but I kind of want to get back. I got a good idea that I'm putting together right now that I think is going to be special.
So I want to just say something. You mentioned Mrs. G's.
Yeah.
So back in the day when I had my beauty salons in the Lawrenceville area in the 80s and 90s, she was a client of mine.
Which one? The Debbie or the
mom? No, the mom, the Mrs. G.
Wow. Okay, the original.
The original, the one who's painting, with the hairdo was on the signs.
Wow. That's crazy.
That was crazy. All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what's going on now? What's happening with what you're doing now?
Well, I'm writing the contracts and the a couple of episodes. Just an outline of the episodes because it's going to be like a docu-series type of thing. So you don't really want to script it too much, but you kind of want to know what each episode is going to be about, sort of. But with documentaries, sometimes you plan left and it goes all the way right, which is fine if that happens. But I have ideas of 5 episodes right now that I'm going to focus on certain topics when it comes to a lot of people, we all hear about I'm sober 18 years. I've been in the rooms of I can't really say because I don't want to break any of our traditions,
right.
But I'm in the rooms and I've been sober since July 7th, 2002. No drink, no drugs, no nothing. And a 12-step program, I do that whole thing and go to meetings and stuff like that. But one of my jobs is I'm the director of sober living at this recovery house. It's 3 houses actually, and we hear the horrible stories about addiction and overdose and medically assisted treatment we hear about, and people go to prison and they die. Some people pass away unfortunately, and they go to rehabs and detoxes, or some people are homeless on the streets. I mean, we see the people on 29 that stop at the lights and they ask for money and stuff like that. So we see the devastation of alcoholism and drug addiction. But the thing that we really never hear about are like, where do these people go when they get out of prison or rehabs or detoxes? We never hear about that. I never really heard about it. I shouldn't say that because I got sober in a recovery house in Trenton in 2002. But the nameless faces, the people that you don't know what happens to them once they get out. And a lot of them wind up going either to a shelter, staying homeless, or I think a majority of them go to like recovery houses.
Right.
Where you got to stay clean and sober, you got to pay a bed fee every week or every month, whatever, and stuff like that. And hopefully they try to get sober, go to meetings, get a sponsor, work a 12-step program, stuff like that. And that's one of the facilities that I run. And I want to do a show, a docuseries about what a recovery house is, and some of the topics that always come up at recovery houses, and maybe even some of the conflicts that happen in these houses, and what happens to some of the people that are in those houses, and get to know and hear their story, because they're not just drug addicts or alcoholics or both. They're people. They have families. Some of them have wives and children, and I witnessed firsthand the devastation of them relapsing and leaving the house because they can't be there. And I just want to kind of tell and show those stories. And so that's what I'm writing right now. But the funny thing is, I sent you songs that I wrote about addiction. Right?
Yes, incredible.
I thank you. I didn't even think about that video project until after I wrote those songs and had music put to them. I never even thought about doing a video like this. So in essence, I wrote the soundtrack for that show before I even thought about a show.
Wow.
That's how God works, and God works in mysterious ways, I guess. I don't know.
Listen, God absolutely works in mysterious ways. I can tell you that I do know.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Kell, I think back, I got to share something with you, because everyone does have a story, and I know that. And
right.
When I revised my book, it was through this pandemic, and God was like, it's time. And, some good things came out of this pandemic. And one of them is that I revised this book. But I went into a folder I had from 29 years ago, Princeton House, and it had a letter I wrote to myself in it. And I read it, and I don't remember reading that when I first wrote the book, but I read it now, and I sat there crying, and I thought, how was that me? How was that me? And it was because of the grace of God. If it wasn't for God, Kell, I wouldn't be here.
I believe that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you a story, and I may have shared this with you, but I'd like to share it on this particular show. My rock bottom, what happened to me, because God absolutely intervened. In 1990, that was my rock bottom. I was making way too much money. I was way too young with the beauty salons, and the drugs just got out of hand. Okay.
Sure.
I owned a 1990 black and gold Eldorado Cadillac with Elvis license plates. Okay. Now, talk about flashy. Well, that car saved my life, but God, through that car, saved my life, I should say. So I was in Trenton, 1:00 in the morning, with a friend of mine. Her and I were going to our drug dealer to cop some dope, and he was out of heroin. So we had to put him in the back of my car, drive 2 blocks to someone. I mean, think about how crazy that was. Well, an unmarked police car recognized my license plates, my Elvis license plates, because one of the Supreme Court judges, she was a client of mine. She's still a friend of mine to this day. And I used to go to the courthouse and meet her for lunch at times, and he recognized my plates, and he pulled us over. After the guy got out, went and got the heroin bags, got back in the back of my car, he pulled us over, and he called this judge, and he came to my car, and he said, Geri, Judge so-and-so said, get him out of your car now, go home, get some sleep, and get some help.
Oh my God.
And that's the truth. And I had lunch with her about a year ago before all this craziness, and we sat and we cried and we talked. And I said to her, I never told you this, but you were part of saving my life. Sure. I was so embarrassed and just, I can't even tell you, that she knew, and my family and just all that. But that flashy car with the Elvis license plates. Now, I'm going to go 27 years ahead. You ready for this? When my book got published 4 years ago, I get a message on Facebook in Messenger from a man, and he says, ma'am, and I love that word, right, ma'am? Can I ask you a question? And I said, sure, are you okay? He said, well, I noticed on Facebook that you wrote a book. Can I ask you what it's about? And I said, addiction. And he said, I'm in a sober living place. Kell, listen to this. You may even know this man. He goes, I'm in a sober living place. I've been here for close to a year and a half, and I'm not here by choice. And if I don't do what I have to do, I'm going to go to prison for a very long time. I was a huge drug dealer back in the day.
Right.
So long story short, I said to him, after talking to him for about a week, I said, give me the address of the sober living place. He was scared of me, Kell. Imagine that. I'm 5'4", this big guy, scared of me. I said, you reached out to me. So he gives me the address. I send him my book, and I had one Bible, a recovery Bible. And he said he didn't believe in God anymore, but he was willing to read it. I sent it to him. So for the next week, he's reading things and asking me questions. I finally said, let's pray. And we had to see each other for the first time. Are you ready for this? I said to him, "You look very familiar. Can I ask you a question? Did you sell drugs on Parkside Avenue to Jerry's Final Touch?" He said, "All the time." And he mentioned the two names. He was one of my drug dealers.
Oh my God.
Tell me God does not have his hand in this craziness, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100%.
there you go with God.
Wow. That's great. That's one of those, yeah, you hear little stories like that every once in a while. Yeah, I get it. 100%. Wow. All right, well, I'll tell you a story then. You want to talk about
Yes,
God, right?
let's hear it.
All right. I had already went to 2 rehabs. You know, this was in the late 90s or in early 2000s, right? And I'm at my, you know, I'm using every single day. I'm drinking every single day, but I don't want to anymore. I'm realizing that my life is it's totally unmanageable in every area. There's not one thing in my life that's working anymore. You know, so you don't know what to do. So you just continue drinking and using because, you know, it's the only thing that kind of masks the pain for a little bit. Right? But so I'm at my drug dealer's house and I'm in the basement doing what I do.
Okay.
And he had already went to prison once or twice for dealing drugs, right?
Okay.
Stuff. And then, you know, he's got to go to court again and, you know, he's got some charges and he's probably going to go back to prison for a little bit. And he's saying to me, you know, remember, I've already been to AA, NA 2 times already. And, you know, it was all right. It got a little bit better the second time, but I relapsed after a week. And so I'm back on my run and I'm at his house. And he's like, you know, I'm thinking about going to one of these recovery houses because, you know, it's probably going to help me with the court if I go. And maybe I won't go to jail because he was definitely going to go to prison again because this would have been his 3rd offense. Okay. So, and he's saying, yeah, but I don't know if I want to go because, you know, they're going to make me go to meetings every day and get a sponsor. And I got to be on a 30-day blackout. So I can't really do much. And I got to pay rent at this place and I don't want to do that. And he's saying all these things why he would rather take his chances in front of the judge, knowing he's probably going to go to prison, right? But he would rather go to prison than go to a recovery house for 90 days, 6 months, whatever it was they would sentence him. They would tell him he had to be there for. And I think he wound up going to prison because he didn't go to the recovery house.
Oh my gosh.
When I was there with him, he's telling me why he doesn't want to go. And I'm saying to myself, damn, I never got a job and paid bills. And I had 2 kids and a wife at the time. So I never paid bills. I probably need a 30-day blackout so I can't see anyone. That'd be great. I need to go to meetings every day because I've been to them before, and I know that would probably help me. All the things he was saying, all his arguments for not wanting to go to a recovery house were the things that I needed to hear because I didn't even know places like that existed. That's what I needed to do.
Wow.
So he's telling me this, so I'm like, wow, you know what, man, give me that number, man, because I want to go, because I don't want to do this. I'm in his basement getting high, you know. I don't want to do this anymore. And he gave me the number, and I called him up right there, and I said, hey, do you guys have a bed? And they said, yeah, we got a bed today if you want to come. I said, I can't come today because I still had stuff to do, like drink and get high, and that's about it. I said, but I can come tomorrow. And they said, all right, come tomorrow. And we set it up, and, you know, as soon as I woke up in the morning, I packed up. My ex-wife at the time was driving me over there, and so like a 10-minute ride. It wasn't that long, but you know, I would tell her to stop somewhere. She would always do it, you know. And I was begging her to hold because I couldn't stand being in my own skin. I couldn't stand being sober because I had breathed the sober breath of air for years. I don't even know how long. And she was like, nope, I'm driving you there and I'm taking you to the house, dropping you off, and you got to go do what you got to do. I'm done. And so I didn't get anything. And if I would have, so I walked into the house and the manager had like 2 years sober, which was unheard of back then. People who ran houses usually didn't have that much time.
Wow.
He 12-stepped me. He talked to me for like an hour about recovery, what I was going to do, and if I don't do everything he tells me to do, he's going to throw me out, and he doesn't even care if I'm sober, and I got to work, and I got to, you know, pay the rent, which was like $140 a week or something like that back then, $135. And if I would have came into that house under the influence of anything, he would have known because he was like a machine with that stuff. You know, like he would smell the air sometimes in the house and say somebody's drinking. somebody's drinking, like, and he would find who it is and throw them out the house. But like, he would have known, and I don't even know if I'd be here today like this. If she would have stopped and I would have got something, I would have been caught immediately. So that was God's hand in that whole thing. My drug dealer, my favorite drug dealer, he was the first one to, not knowing, but he 12-stepped me. He gave me the information. God gave him the information to give to me for what it was that I needed eventually, which was the recovery house, which I went to, and I've been sober ever since. And then I went to the house and I talked to the guy, and for the first time in my life, I felt hope. I never felt hope before until I spoke to him, and he was telling me what recovery can do for me. And then we went right to the noon meeting at the club at Cash Street, and I've been sober ever since. So that was God saying, "All right, you're done. I get you. Let's go. I'm gonna take you where you gotta go," because I was willing.
So what year was that?
That was 2002.
That's amazing, that story.
July 7th, 2002. That's my sober date.
Think about that story, guys. Whoever's listening to this, here he is getting high with his dealer while his dealer is telling him this story about why he doesn't want to go to a halfway house. And it was his, that's incredible.
That was crazy. Yeah, I think about that, and I share that at meetings all the time. Like, it's just weird how that whole thing happened, but that was God. For me, anyway, I consider that to be a total God moment. And I've had a million since, but definitely.
Well, I want to read the jingle that you sang for me. So here's my radio jingle, guys. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Life's a teacher, take the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last. We're not powerless over addiction. Hear me now, it's truth, not fiction. When you don't know just what to do, if what you're feeling is really true, just keep your ideas safe and sound. That's exactly how change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass, and in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Life's a teacher, take the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last. Free at last, free at last.
I wish you could play it.
I wish I could play it too. It won't let me play it on here, but on the other radio shows where I can play music, that is my theme song. It starts all my shows. Kell Ramos.
Wow. That's great. I didn't even know that because I never heard. I heard it one time on Facebook, and it was like I think it was an intermission at one of your shows. And I heard it playing because I didn't know if you still used it or not. But I was like, oh, wow, you must still use it.
Yep, it starts all my shows, the ones that I can play music on. Yep.
That's great. That's good.
So this is really cool. So is this going to be like a documentary you want to do about these recovery homes?
I think it's going to be the way I'm writing it right now, and I'm kind of almost done writing it, but I have to finish up. I meet with the guy who's going to shoot it for me on Sunday, so I want to have it a little bit more conformed or a little more precise when I meet with him, so he kind of understands as best as he can what it is that I'm trying to do. But it's going to be more of a docu-series because it's going to start off on the internet, like, YouTube and stuff like that. So I don't want to make it too long, maybe 20 minutes per 23 minutes, something like that. I don't know yet. But it'll be about 20 minutes or so each episode. And, there's a million recovery houses all over just the state of New Jersey that I could continue to do this with, just to give people an idea of the recovery house arena, whatever you want to call it. But I know I have 5 here just for this spot in Trenton, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'll get some money from some places to help fund it because I'm producing it, so I'm paying for it with my own money. But that's not going to last forever, I don't think. So I need to get some sponsorships and some money together for it, which I can do. I've done that before.
So let me ask you a question. Do you ever do like, I'm thinking about turning my book into some sort of a movie, play, something.
Yeah.
Do you think like you could do something with this?
Yeah, I mean, listen. The bottom line is, I have a lot of experience doing stuff like that, and it really, when it comes down to media stuff, it's just what's the affordability of it. Like, is it going to be one camera, two cameras? What's the audio situation going to look like? What needs to be written to transmit a book into a whatever it is that you want to do, like a series or just a documentary or a play that you record, or it would depend on what you want. I don't know what that would be.
I'm not sure yet either. I've been thinking about it, and I know I want to do something to get this on stage somewhere, or I would love to turn this into some sort of a movie. I would really I'm thinking about this.
Well, a lot of times what I'm realizing too with media is, stuff on Netflix or, any one of those, Amazon, Prime and things. It's a lot of times movies started out as documentaries.
Right.
So you get a true story, or if it wasn't a document, they've made documentary, like even the movie Casino. I mean, they've made documentaries on A&E or whatever about the story, which makes people want to see it as a movie, and then they do that. But also, people write books like you did.
Yes.
They'll write a book, and they'll just make a movie out of that book.
So that's my thought process. A documentary, something. Yes. So
yeah, maybe you do like a short documentary or something like that, portable, and then once it's done, and people like it, whatever. That'll make it easier to raise more money to maybe do something else. Maybe you hire a script writer to write a movie script. So now you have a script, and there's a lot of things you can do, but I think first people have to see it.
Right. And then I'd like to get in touch with Sylvester Stallone to be in it.
I know Sylvester.
What are you talking about?
I know Sylvester since the first Rocky. I've known him.
You know him how, Mr. Kell?
Well, just by watching him on TV, but I know who you're talking about. I know very well. I've seen almost all his movies.
Oh, but you don't have his phone number.
No, I don't. I've never talked to him before, but I know who he is. I know what you're talking about.
So you're funny. You want to hear a funny Sylvester story, Rocky story?
Yeah.
I had machine guns pointed at me in Russia in the 80s because of him.
Why?
And because of that, I think he should meet me.
What happened?
Okay, this is a cool story. I'm crazy anyway. I wasn't afraid at all. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was in Russia in the 80s with a cousin of mine who worked for Lenox Hill Hospital at the time. And it was so incredible. They brought us there. She was able to bring a guest, which was me. And they brought us there on this health tour for only $1,200 for the entire month, which included room, board, food, tours. It was crazy. So, yes. So what I learned back then was we couldn't really even have conversations with Russian people. It was frowned upon highly.
Really?
Highly. We couldn't have Russian money, and we couldn't even touch it or use it. It was frowned upon highly because they didn't allow it. And we could not stay. All foreigners stayed in the same hotels. Okay?
Damn.
Yes. A lot of other things that went on, I found out, like bus drivers and even park sweepers and all that. They were in control of everything. So that's how the government knew everything that went on. So anyway, long story short, I come home from a tour one day. My cousin goes up to the room, and I had my little travel chess kit with me. I used to bring it everywhere I went. And these two men paid for my juice in the juice bar, and they were Russian men.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't supposed to be in the hotel. So I knew they had to be someone important. And the interpreter for the other man, my age, said he would like to play you in chess. He saw my chess thing I was carrying. And I said, absolutely. So not only am I playing chess in Russia, okay, imagine that. We start talking. What do you like? What do you like? And he liked boxing. So I said, oh, did you ever see Rocky movies? And he said, they're my favorite. So the idiot over here says, "Oh, did you see Rocky 4 or 5, whichever one it was with the Russian?"
4. Yeah.
Okay, Rocky 4. And he said, "No, because they didn't let it come into the country." So idiot says loudly, "Well, that's because he beat the Russian.
Oh my God.
But if you give me your address, I'll send you, a VHS." At the time, he's like, "Sure." Well, the doorman was spying on us, came at me with a gun. Yes, true story.
Wow.
And they said, "We have to get you out of here." So they took me into the elevator to go up to a suite they had, and the 2 doors slam open and 2 men with machine guns pointing at me.
What?
Yes. So I was just like, wow. Well, they saved my life, of course. They said something. Come to find out, he was the grandson of a very, very, very important Russian man.
Mm-hmm.
Saved my life. We talked all night. And he even gave me some Russian money, which I actually still have in my
Really?
in my album. Yeah, show it to you one day. So
Wow.
I think because of that story, I think Sylvester should meet me and hug me, right?
Yeah, that'd be good. I don't know how to reach him, but
I
yeah,
know,
that
right?
would be interesting.
So
That whole Rocky thing is like, it's ongoing. I mean, with the Creed thing now, and aren't they making another one or something like that?
I think so. I mean, it is. It's
Yeah.
ongoing. It's incredible. His story is incredible too. So
Yeah.
So all right. So what else do you want to talk about? What else is happening?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I mean, just busy. It's real busy right now. Doing the recovery thing, strong. Feeling good. Best that I've ever felt the last 3 years or so. Has been the best. The most free I've ever been in my life from my own, whatever you want to call it, the disease of the mind, or just because you're sober doesn't necessarily mean, everything is just hunky-dory all the time, and it took me a long time in sobriety to really finally understand what it is that I'm supposed to do. Like, I get it now. The light went on about 3 years ago. After another low spell, sober. I was sober. Sober doesn't mean happy forever. Like,
right.
It means, it's a daily reprieve. I got to do it every day, one day at a time. And but the last couple of years have been really, really probably the best years of my life. The last 3 years or so.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, when you met me, I was all right, But right after that, after I did that song and everything, I kind of, went back to my old self-will run riot ways. You know what I mean? Like, I want to control everything in my life, and that never works. That's never worked for me one day in my life.
No.
So, but I finally, I got myself somebody that I talked to that taught me a lot of good stuff about what it is I'm supposed to do to be free and happy, joyous, and free. Like they say. And it's been working pretty well. And also a byproduct of better thinking and better actions and things like that. Things in life get better. Like, a lot of things in life get better finally. Like, financially, things are okay, and work-wise, things are good, and relationships-wise, things are good, and health is good. I work out all the time, and I exercise. I eat pretty good still, and I have no legal issues or anything like that. So when opportunities come that are positive, and I'm not interested in being in conflict with anything or anyone anymore. Where I always was, even when you knew me, I was still involved in conflicts and wouldn't shy away from conflicts. But now I just don't. I don't want to. I'm 44 years old. I mean, I don't really want to be engaged in any type of situation that's going to get me in trouble, or where I have to hurt someone or somebody has to hurt me. I'm just not interested in that anymore, and that's a blessing. I mean, it might sound stupid and simple, but I mean, for me, that was like a big thing in my life: conflict, and always in trouble with law and stuff like that. And whether I was drinking or using drugs or not, both. It was even sober, I was getting in trouble a lot, and I don't know. I just I guess my sister, when she got killed, you remember that?
Yes.
She died. She got killed, and that started the change process. It was a slow process. I go back and forth, but the last 3 years of my life have been probably the best years of my life, and everything seems to be going smooth and flowing right. And I'm going to keep it. I'd like to keep it that way. And I don't know. And when you're in that type of mindset, whatever your gifts are, whatever your things are that you're supposed to do, they come to you. And it was just time for me anyway, to write those songs. I wrote five songs I wrote that I sent you, I think?
You didn't write 5, I think 3.
No, I wrote 5. There's 5 songs on that album.
Oh, these, yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant my theme song because we messed around with a couple of them. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that. And, that's usual.
And the first one, I'm going to just say it and we can laugh about it. It was so dark and gloomy. Do you remember I laughed at you?
Yeah,
you were like, I'm not an addict. I was like, what are you doing?
I didn't know, but I get it. It was.
But the 5 you sent me, talk about them a little. That was incredible.
Well, like I wrote 3 of those. I wrote 3 of those like 15, 16, 17 years ago, something like that. And I just always held on to them. I didn't know what I was going to do with them.
It's amazing, amazing.
I wrote 2 now, though. 2 of them are recent. I just wrote 3 of them I wrote a long time ago. And I said, you know what, let me get some music put to these. And I tried to look for a vocalist again, but I didn't have time to wait based on the music producer and stuff like that. So I kind of had to get it done. So I had the money to do it. I just did it. And maybe I'll get another vocalist to do it. I'm not a vocalist. I hate doing it. I don't really like to perform or, be an artist. That's not my thing. I'm just a writer, really. Producer, writer. Not really a performer, but I just put them down, and I'll probably get somebody else to do them one day. But those songs that you hear are going to go into the docuseries that I put together. So
okay, cool. So I want to ask you, your relationships, your family now, everything is a lot better?
I think so, yeah. I think, my mother, we're all right. My kids were good. They're older now. They're all adults now, so they do whatever they do. But we get along. I realized that I was a lot harder on. I never had a father growing up, so I didn't know how to be a father. I had no uncles or anything, so not an excuse. But I had uncles, but they just weren't in my life like that.
Yes. And
so I was pretty much raising myself. And when you're a kid and you're raising yourself, you're going to make nothing but mistakes.
Right.
So I honestly, the people that taught me how to be a father is embarrassing to say, but when you do a self-inventory, you realize these things. But people that taught me how to be a father were fathers on television shows. Like, whatever shows I used to watch when I was growing up, I would take pieces of each one of them and use their fatherly styles, I guess you want to call it. I used to watch Archie Bunker. I used to watch.
That's great.
I used to watch Sanford and Son, and the Family Ties with Michael J. Fox and his dad, and I would try to incorporate all those pieces in, and I thought being strict was what you were supposed to do to teach them, and if I could do it all over again, I would definitely been more gentle and loving and caring and been there for them more and supported them more, but I just didn't have that in me back then. And, that's probably honestly my biggest regret in life still to this day is if I could do it all over again and raise them from the days they were born, I would have been how I am today. And, but that's what they say grandparents are for, right?
That's right.
Grandkids are for. You make your mistakes with your kids and you make up for it with the grandkids. And that's absolutely what I will do if I'm blessed to have grandkids one day.
So you didn't watch Mayberry RFD with Andy Griffith? Because he was a really great role model.
He was. I would see that show sometimes when I was suspended from school and I, expelled from school, and I would have to stay home for months at a time. But that was a little too old for me.
Because I'm older than you. I'll be 60 in March. So I grew up with that, but I'm just making fun of you, kind of, So
I watched the Monsters. I like the Monsters.
I like that too, baby. So
yeah, he was a father and stuff, but he
yeah.
was a monster, so I didn't really relate, you know.
So Kell, what would you say to someone listening, a man, a guy, young man, you know, what would you say to someone listening that needs a little bit of guidance from a man? What would you say to them?
As far as what?
Being a good person and being a good dad.
Okay, well, the good person, I guess. I mean, I don't know what I would tell them to do, but I can only tell you what I
Yes, that's good.
try to do for myself. And
yep.
what works for me, you know, only me, is really the number one thing is having a strong relationship with a power greater than yourself, a God,
Yep.
the spirit of the universe, whatever you want to call it. I call God the source of all creation. That's how I title God. So when I say God, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Whatever created everything, the creator of everything that is, ever has been, ever will be, you know, stuff like that. Whenever I, you know, make that relationship the most important thing in my life, everything else in my life really works out really good. When I make myself God, which I do sometimes, and I don't mean to do it, but it just, you know, you start worrying about life and, you know, what I need and what I want and what I want to do and how I want to do it and where I'm going to go. When I start making all my plans and my decisions for myself, life starts to not work out. And I've been clean now, sober, you know, for over a little bit over 18 years. And, you know, it finally hit me just only about 3 years ago. Like I say, you know, that like, if I keep my relationship strong with God, then everything, all my other relationships and everything in life is good. So that's what I tell new guys too that come into the program. Like, I mean, and a lot of times they don't want to hear about God, and I get that, because I don't know if I did necessarily either, but I was at such a bottom that when they told me you better get it with God, or, you know, you better do this, and I just said okay, because I was done. I had hit my bottom. I was done. But also, you know, the God thing aside, you know, being good to people, like, you know, not having conflict, not being conflict first or conflict driven with people, and minding my own goddamn business. You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing. Everybody's, you know, we get caught up in caring about what other people are doing or saying and stuff like that. But I have enough of a full-time job, you know, making sure that my life stays on path or stays on course. So I got no time to be worrying about what you're doing. And unless you want help for something, then that's a different story.
Yes.
Then I'm obligated to help you. I have to.
Yes. That's
what my program tells me I need to do. I have to be altruistic. I have to, you know, put your needs ahead of my own. And I do that if you want to help.
Amen.
So, you know, service to other people, you know, trusting God, you know, look at myself honestly, you know, like, I'm wrong, I'm right. What am I not doing right? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? You know, stuff like that. What works for me and stuff. I don't know. I don't know if somebody's really struggling right now, can you even expect them to be able to or want to do all those type of things? You know, it's a journey. So the biggest thing that, you know, prompts me to make changes or positive moves in my life is excruciating pain. That's what gets me the most. Like, you know, I have to like get so messed up and screwed up in whatever it is that I'm doing that nothing works, and then, you know, it doesn't even look like there's an answer. That's when I surrender, and it's like, you know, I give up. I just, God, tell me what you do. Tell me what to do. I'm sorry. I took control again. I've moved you out. I became you. I became God, and now everything is ruined again for the 1 millionth time in my life. So for me, I don't know what anybody else, but for me, you know, it's really basically God-centric. If it's not, for me, it has to be about a higher power all the time. And that's the only time my life is good. And, you know, when it's not God all the time, then my life really isn't good. It starts to go bad real quickly. And I just got tired of living life, even sober, and miserable and suicidal sometimes. Like, you don't even know what to do with yourself. You just don't even want to be here anymore. And that just can't be.
Well, amen to that. So, Kell, we're coming to the close of the show. We still have some time if there's anything else you want to talk about. But I want you to tell everyone again, if they're interested in anything, filmmaking or documentaries or anything you can help them with, theme songs, anything, tell them how to reach out to you.
I would say reach out to Geri Petito. She's my agent. She
You
just
got it.
doesn't realize it yet.
You got it, baby. I will be your agent.
Seriously, you're my agent. You'll be my agent.
All right, baby. I love it.
I can't handle stuff by myself. Like I'm really just want to focus on the creative role and like of what I want to do and focus on that type of stuff and what I need to do to make it work and somebody like you can. I mean, I've known you for years now. You're a mover. You make moves. And
so funny.
You can definitely help me with that. So I would just say call Geri and.
That's right.
She's my biggest advocate anyway, so one of them. So, I mean, you're already doing it without even realizing it. We just haven't made the money yet, but we will.
All right, there you go, guys. Get in touch with me if you would like Kell Ramos to do anything for you. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. Okay, filmmaking, producing, songwriting, all of that. This guy right here, you see? This is him right here, okay? Get in touch with me. I will hook you guys up. Kell Ramos. So, sweetie, I want to say thank you for this incredible interview. How we're going to close the show is I'd like to read a poem out of my book called Change Your Choice.
Okay.
But before I do that, again, I really do want to thank you, Kell, for taking the time to do this because, you are a huge inspiration to males, especially to everyone, but especially males, because growing up without a dad or any male figures in your life, you're right. How could you possibly know how to be one?
Right.
And for you to make all those changes, you chose to become the person you are. And you're right. My grandson is 19. My granddaughter is 5. And I'm going to tell you something. The day you're blessed, I know it'll happen. You are going to be an incredible grandfather. I just had to say that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
I know I will. You're right. I feel the same way. I mean, I made those mistakes with my own kids, and I'm not going to do that with theirs.
And the problem is this. You probably won't have any boundaries, which isn't good either.
Right.
So,
well, I never had a grandfather either, by the way. Like, grandparents are important for your children. Like, it's good for them to be kind of raised by their grandparents, your children, because they get all that wisdom and knowledge and stuff like that we as parents don't have.
You're right, baby. You're right.
I wish I had grandparents. I had a grandmother for a while, but she died and stuff. But she was great, but she lived in Florida, so I didn't see her that much. But she was really good. She'd call me every week and stuff. But it's not a man either, so
right.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, things are different now, and I appreciate it.
Well, you know what? Now I love you even more. I didn't know you didn't even have grandparents, really, a father. So you have become a true inspiration. So keep up the good work and always look to God, because you're right. Without God, we are nothing. We are nothing.
Yeah, I know I ain't. I'm not.
I'm not either. Believe me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close the show, everybody. I'm going to ask everyone out there, if this show has touched you, once it's out there, it's on Facebook also, please share it. Okay. And here's the poem I chose. It's called Change Your Choice.
God.
I had a life-changing moment that I knew had to be. The only way to change things was to first start with me. So I looked in the mirror and woke up one day and thought to myself, I needed to pray. So I asked God to change me, to help me stay strong, to clean up my mess, to right what's been wrong. I cleaned up my diet. I cleaned up my room. I cleaned up all habits with this old dirty broom. I kept going forward and never looked back. I refused to derail, stayed on the right track. I realized my worth and all that did matter through my selfish behavior, the lives I had shattered. I finally decided at 30 years old to stop abusing my body, my mind, heart, and soul. My life-changing choice that I had once made, over 29 years now, guys, my debt has been paid. So you read all my thoughts on how to stay clean. It's all or nothing, my friend. There's no in between. To live or to die is a choice you must make. Your life is not worthless, and you're not a mistake. One day at a time is a slogan you've heard. It works if you work it while applying his word. For you to get healthy, for your mind not to fail, escaping reality will keep you in jail. With addictive behavior, sex, drugs, food, or money, substituting addictions now isn't that funny. I'm not an addict. This too shall pass. I'm not an addict. I'm just an ass. May the good Lord bless and guide you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kell.
Yeah, I'll talk you, Jerry.
All right, sweetheart. Bye.
Thank you.